His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan, a music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy
Welcome to the Andy Dare Show, episode 132. This week we are doing Best of the Ohio Players, a.k.a. Best Interviews with Talent from the Buckeye State, a.k.a. Ohio. I know it's a weird idea for an episode, but I just looked through last year's episode, and there was actually 4 or 5 people from Ohio. And, there's a lot of music being made in Ohio. You got Dayton, you got Columbus, Toledo, Cleveland, obviously where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is. And, yes, it doesn't get enough shine. So I thought this week we would take a walk through our best interviews with talent from Ohio. So, yeah, I got Tobin Sprout from Guided by Voices. I've got Doug Gillard, also of Guided by Voices. And, from pioneering indie bands such as Death of Samantha and Cobra Verde. And that links us to the next guest, Dave Hill, who did a little tenure in Cobra Verde as well. And, yes, he's got his own band, Sweet Valley. He's got his own web series called Metal Grasshopper, which features Philip Anselmo from Pantera and Down and all sorts of good stuff. That's a hilarious little web series called Metal Grasshopper. Do check it out on YouTube. And, yes, now he is doing his own radio show called The Goddamn Dave Hill Show on WFMU.org. And that's a great radio station. He does a great show, lots of funny call-ins, lots of cool guests. And, he was a delight to talk to. And, last but not least, we got rapper Copywrite, who's actually been on the show 3 or 4 times. We've got a little best of Copywrite. We'll play that interview. And he's a nice guy. He's been around for 15-plus years. He made a bunch of noise in the early 2000s on Eastern Conference Records with Cage, High and Mighty. Copywrite is a great lyricist, and he's still doing it in year 2015. He's got a new album that he's working on. So, yeah, he represents Columbus, and a lot of great talent coming out of Ohio, so I thought, why not make a best of episode? And, just want to wish all you guys, I hope all you guys had a great New Year's. I hope you guys have great luck in 2015. We are working on the Dare Network. Jay Porks will be debuting next week on Tuesday. And if you want to send any comments, questions, or anything like that, or praise, just send it to jporkspodcast@gmail.com. He vows to read every email he gets, and it's a great show, the Jay Porks Experience. Follow him on Twitter @jporks. And also, the Tyler Kale Show will be starting back up. We are also looking to bring you new episodes of Smooth Operators with me and Tyler Kale. So we got a lot of stuff we're working on, and we're looking to add another show as well in the new year. We still are working on that, so we will let you know as soon as that is concrete. But just want to thank everybody who's followed Dare Network on Twitter, and obviously find all the podcasts at theandydareshow.com and at andydare.com. So a lot of cool things to look forward to in 2015. Want to thank you, the listeners. Want to thank my awesome sponsors, Record Utopia, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Amazon.com, and The Man Great. And, without further ado, my episode 132, Best of the Ohio Players, a.k.a. interviews with great talent from the Buckeye State. From episode 112, from April 2014, from Cleveland, Ohio, we have Bury the Lead with special guest, Dave Hill. Thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 112. I am joined via phone by a cool guy, Dave Hill. How you doing, man?
I'm incredible. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, you've been a kind of an inspiration for guys who have, done some broadcasting, done some rock and roll, done some funny stuff. Kind of a jack of all trades there. How do you find enough time in the day to do all these different projects?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I did less stuff. Probably more money. But not that money's what matters. But I don't know. I just do the stuff that I like, and I'm just kind of open to, new things, and like I never thought about having a radio show or anything like that, but then WFMU asked me if I wanted to do a radio show, and I said yes. So that's pretty much
cool.
That's pretty much how I operate. I just kind of do my thing, and
nice.
Stuff comes up.
Well, like you kind of got the opposite. You kind of got the opposite thing of a lot of people around, like in Chicago, where they were on radio for years and years, and they got sick of that, or they got fired, or something happened, and now they're doing a podcast. You kind of started off with the podcast, Dave Hill's Podcasting Incident, and now you got offered a job on the radio at WFMU.org. Is that been a smooth transition, or is it kind of like, oh, I got to watch what I say, I got to bleep Phil Anselmo out and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. But even that, there's a button. There's the bleep button.
Sure.
Which, I have to use a little more than often when, Phil's on or something. He's pretty good, though. I just scold him.
Yeah, I was saying, that is like, I had to actually re-listen to that entire interview. That was so good, and I had no idea that Phil was such like a funny guy. I mean, he's got the scariest sounding voice, just the scariest demeanor, but he's also got quite a sense of humor underneath it all, it seems like, right?
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious. I mean, he's the opposite of what you would think, if you just went by, like, if you went by... I mean, okay. I think he shows the sense of humor a bit more now, but, if you just went by whatever, like 15 years ago or something, you'd think, like, he was just going to strangle you or something. But no, the guy is the sweetest, funniest guy and super smart, hilarious dude.
And you guys are collaborating, right? On a video or something?
Yeah, we shot a video, like a web series, like last, I guess, gosh, it's been a while now, like last fall or so, and but it's finally getting edited. I think it's going to come out soon. We just editing took a while because we shot a lot of stuff, but it was super blast. It's called Metal Grasshopper, and it's basically Phil schooling me on metal.
Oh, nice.
And it's just us being a couple of goofballs at his house in outside of New Orleans. So yeah, it's completely ridiculous. But yeah, he's awesome. I mean, I would like to have him on my radio show every week if he would agree to it. It's instant entertainment.
Yeah, check it out. It's your latest episode, right, from last week?
Yeah, last week.
So that was really good. I've heard a couple of the other ones, but yeah, I've been more familiar with your stuff on MaximumFun.org, and you've been doing that for quite a while before WFMU hit you up, right?
Yeah, about maybe a year and a half ago I started with them, I guess. Yeah, I mean I was bad at releasing episodes of the podcast on time. Before I got the radio show, and now I've gotten even worse at it. So I'm going to continue with the podcast, but I mean it's been sporadic. I mean, really, almost the entire time I've had it. I mean, it started off I was releasing it like weekly, and then I was busy writing a book and blah blah blah, and so it's pretty sporadic. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. It enables me to do some things I can't do on the radio. For whatever reason,
Sure. Yeah, I guess the radio is nice because, like, you have to be on air at a certain time. You can't be late with an episode. You can't do it when you feel like it, kind of, right?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I hope you can edit that call.
No, it's all good. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, but that's part of the fun of it. I mean, it's really nice to have, like, I actually like having a schedule.
Yeah.
So that's what's good about the radio show is, I'm there every Tuesday, for the most part. And, it's every week. And then that's podcast also. It's on iTunes and all that. The only difference is they cut the music out on iTunes, which is a bummer. But, sometimes, last week I barely played any music compared to Usually I play about 45 minutes of music out of the 3 hours, and I think last week I played much less just because we got off to the races. With,
Phil and Gavin,
Yeah. I wish I could just have those two every week. It'd be pretty entertaining.
How about this, like the best show? Were you a big fan? And is it no coincidence that when that kind of when they quit that they asked you to do your own show? Or?
I was a huge fan of that show, of course, and friends with Tom, John, and I'm sad to see it go, and I'm hoping they come back. I'm sure they'll come back in some form.
Sure. Yeah.
Somewhere. I don't know any details right now, but but as far as me getting that slot, it was kind of a coincidence. I don't think it wasn't like, I think Tom, I think he, wanted to leave, and I don't think he was involved in picking me or anything like that.
No, I get you.
No, not that I know of. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. No, I think, I was really surprised, honestly. And with all things in life, whenever someone asks me to do something, my first, the Clevelander in me thinks like, oh, how many people said no before they got to me?
Sure.
Or who wasn't available?
Yeah.
But,
no.
But yeah, no, Ken Friedman's, the manager at FMU, emailed me, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting it, but it was nice. I think I had been a guest on his show, 7 Second Delay, and, I'd been on that show before and been on a few other shows on SMU, and I think they wanted someone, who was...
Yeah, a familiar face.
Yeah, just kind of... And then, it surprised me, like he said, when I was a guest on his show, he liked the way that I talked, and
sure.
I wasn't sick and jet lagged like I am now. But
has anybody ever told you sound a little bit like Pete Holmes, the comedian?
I've never heard that before.
No?
No, in general or just right now?
No, just like kind of in general, like kind of a vocal doppelganger. My buddy does doppelgangers for his website, and then he does vocal doppelgangers too. And I think you guys would match up a little bit. Yeah. Maybe not with the so much forced laughter that Pete does, But
he has a lot more energy than I do. He
must have ADD when he was a kid, right, or something. He's just bouncing off the walls.
Yeah. I wish I had more energy. I have energy, but it's internalized. But I think I'd be better off if some of it was external. No, I've never heard that before. It's funny, with this new show, people keep saying I sound like Ferris Bueller.
Oh, I could get that a little bit too, yeah.
But
a cool thing about your show is that it's got to be the only show that I've heard where you just rock out on the guitar for like a couple minutes in the beginning and here and there throughout the show. You just it's just a cool, different thing that you don't really hear much of. Like, you're rock and roll, obviously, but can you play it? And yes, Dave Hill can play the rock and the roll. So
that's right. Yeah, it's just fun to. It's ridiculous and to sit there and have like a loud amp and just play some.
Sure. But
yeah, it's sort of my comfort zone and stuff. It does make it more complicated because it's already complicated enough. The big challenge of the show, aside from figuring out what the hell to do for 3 hours, is just, there's all those knobs and buttons, and I do, all the engineering while I'm doing the show.
Okay.
So,
huh. Yeah.
It's like I'm doing everything, every music, which is why, something goes wrong every show, because I just don't know what buttons to press, and then and a lot of times people are, when they're in the studio, they're like, oh, is everything okay? You seem kind of distracted. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm distracted. Like I'm doing 20 different things while I'm talking to you. But, hopefully I think that'll get easier as I go.
I'm sure. And it's got that cool kind of comfortable, like, do-it-yourself feel that radio usually doesn't have, so.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't tell me to get a little slicker.
Yeah, well,
but,
as you said, it's a new thing.
That big, morning drive time job someday.
Nice. Or the morning zoo. Yeah.
Yeah, or, something. That's my fantasy.
Nice.
My fantasy would be like, I don't know. It's fun though. I really like it. I'm hoping, seems like people like it, which is nice, and I think I'll just keep getting better at it. I hope.
Like FMU is huge in the East, but like they're still getting found out in the Midwest and the West Coast. Like I'm trying to spread the word and stuff. I think it's a really cool network and a lot of cool talent on there. But yeah, it seems pretty like regional too. So. Yeah,
I mean FMU is great. I was familiar with it obviously before, but now being a part of it is really it's just great. I mean, it's such a great community of people, and it's really, I mean, they're so supportive and nice and just good people. You would think like it would just be like people just doing their show and that's it, but like they're really, everyone listens to each other's shows and checks out stuff. I was surprised. Like, oh, no one's listening to my new show, but so many people were, clearly had been listening, which is nice, and it's just a really, I think it's an example of like how communities should be and like how organizations should be. It's just like
nice,
really good, supportive situation that's really, I'm thrilled to be a part of. It's like, I think any organization, their community could learn a lot, like from
that's cool.
Just how it works there and people's attitude. And, I say that now. Maybe I'll just be bitching. But,
I can sense like a freedom that they give you, and there's no like program director in the other room like giving you notes. Hey, don't talk about this. Don't bring that up,
Yeah, I mean, it's really, they're very, can do anything. I mean, it's been helpful too, because, Ken will be like, hey, this is working, this is not working. And, because it's, basic things, like I forget to say the name of my show every once in a while,
Sure.
So people know what they're listening to, and having friends call up, trying to make sure, like, because, when I try to really avoid this now, but when I first started, which is just a few weeks ago, but,
seems like yesterday.
Friends would call up, and I would just be talking to them like we were sitting in our living room, and Ken would be like, you gotta. It sounds like you're just talking to a friend. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I was like, one friend was even like trying to set up like a dinner plan, and I was like, okay, that's too personal.
Yeah. That's cool. So yeah, the show's every Tuesday from 9 to midnight. WFMU.org, the goddamn Dave Hill Show. But I wanted to talk about music. My show is pretty much a music-centric podcast, talking to musicians a lot. But I read about your history. Cobra Verde. When did you start with them? Was that after Sons of Elvis or before?
That was after. I mean, it's probably shortly after, like sort of like Sons of Elvis was, looking back on it, was over long before that, but it was kind of in the.
Is it before the Robert Pollard takeover of Cobra Verde for Guided by Voices, or was it after?
It was right after that.
Oh,
what happened was, I had Sons of Elvis, which was my first band in college, and, we had an album out and blah, blah, blah.
And I read that was on Priority Records, which is usually like a gangster label, like NWA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they did like sort of a rock experiment, trying to do. But, it's like they, they did like Ice Cube and all that stuff.
Sure.
And, before he became a family movie guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just they put a few rock bands out, and we were one of them, and it it kind of ran its course before because we were just naive little boys, and we got dropped, as they say, or I don't even know if people say that anymore, and yeah, that kind of ran its course, and I was trying to figure out what to do next, and I started a new band, and then John Pekovic from Cobra Verde, and I think they had just finished being part of, Cobra Verde basically just got absorbed became Guided by Voices at one point, Bob Pollard singing.
Yeah, for just one album, right? Mag Earwig?
Yeah, Mag Earwig, and then they stopped doing that very abruptly, I guess. Something, I forget what, it was like something like, I don't know. I mean, everyone's all friends now. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But I think it was like something like, I might have this wrong, but I think Bob had said like in an interview with like NME or somebody, like, they asked him about the rotating lineup, and he was like, yeah, I just like to keep it fresh. I'll probably get rid of all these guys after this tour. And they all read that like, in the van or something. And we're like, what? And
uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, but then Doug stayed, Doug Gillard,
Yeah.
greatest guitar player of all time. Or one of them.
He's sick. He's awesome. Yeah.
So he stuck around, but everyone else was gone, and then I'm sorry, yeah. So then Cobra Verde, I ended up in Cobra Verde for probably like 2.5 years, and then
was that the Nightlife album, or what album was that? Or?
Yeah, it was like the touring for Nightlife, and then, but I didn't actually play on that record. Was done before I joined the band, and then so the Easy Listening album is the one that I play a lot on. That one, I play all the bass on that and some guitar or whatever.
Nice.
But I wasn't in the band anymore by the time it came out.
Gotcha.
What
did you end up doing after that? Was it straight to starting with Valley Lodge, or was there a time between that?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I ended up leaving the band, because it was just, it's a thing with any band. Like when you get older, everyone's doing a million different things, and I was like busy trying to get to other stuff going, and I just wasn't available for Cobra Verde as much, and understandably they were kind of like, we got to get a guy who,
sure,
can tour, when we want to tour
full time.
So, yeah, so I was out, and then I ended up in New York shortly after that, and that's when I formed Valley Lodge in New York, which was me and John Kimbrough from Walton Inc. It was just the two of us to begin with. We just, were friends, and, we had each were making demos, and neither one of us had a band really at this point.
Cool.
So we decided to make a record that was just like whatever of our songs were compatible with each other. And that's how that started. And then,
it's got a real power pop feel to it, kind of like a Teenage Fan Club, but with more rock and roll to it. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's catchy, and you got a new album, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're both. I mean, yeah, it was a Big Star, Cheap Trick sort of deal.
Sure.
The 70s power pop rock stuff. Yeah, we just made our third album, and
how was it making the new video for Kiss Me, I'm Drunk? It's a really eye-catching video. You're on a horse in the mountains, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the video, that's the irony is like now, our videos are like way more elaborate than the albums are. But, yeah, we made that thanks to a friend and video producer, Rebecca O'Malley, has been godsend and has made a couple of videos with us now. We did one for Go in California, and then we did this one in Dunton Hot Springs, Colorado, and it's like this old west town that someone bought and like kind of refurbished and turned into this crazy ass resort. And we were just there for like 3 days or something, and it was nuts.
There's a big fight scene too. Check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all choreographed, and there's a stunt man, and Rich Fulcher came out with his family, and we had an awesome time, and it was super fun to make, and hopefully some people will see it. I don't know how to get people to watch anything anymore, but
well, the YouTube makes it easier. Yeah, the YouTube makes it easier. I think social media makes it easier too. I mean, MTV is not an option anymore. They're just Jersey Shore and teenagers getting pregnant. So. Yeah.
And even if they were an option, we'd probably be too old. But
wait, here's one more thing too. I had a guest on about a month ago, Andy Chernoff, and a familiar face popped up in the video, and it was one Dave Hill, right?
Oh yeah. That's how I met Andy. I think that's how I met him. Yeah, he had this video.
Let's get the band back together.
Andy from the Dictators, and yeah, he wanted me to be in the video, and it was super fun. I still say I was too young to be in the video.
Yeah,
I might not. Excuse me, but yeah, Andy's awesome. Such a great dude and great musician, songwriter, and really funny guy.
Yeah, cool stories about being Joey Ramone's best buddy and stuff like that we were talking about, and all sorts of stuff like in the first wave of punk, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's the real deal. He's like, it's amazing, and now he's still doing all this cool stuff. And
I think he should call into your show. Yeah.
I gotta have him on. You're reminding me because I was actually, Shayna, my friend and partner in crime, has been like, oh, you gotta have Andy on. So
nice.
You're reminding me, I'm gonna email him after I hang up with you because yeah, he's a great dude. I love him.
Sweet. Yeah, just got one more thing. It's Record Store Day is this Saturday, April 19th. And I am kind of a CD guy. I'm 30 years old, so I have a 4,000 CD collection in my house. I've been collecting for about 20 years now. So a lot of these vinyl things are kind of out of my price range. And if I start collecting vinyl, I'll just go down that rabbit hole and I'll never come back. But I do respect it. And I want to spread the word here. There's some cool releases, like Mudhoney's got a live album from atop of the Space Needle in Seattle. I thought that would be something to at least check out. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
There's a couple other things. Screaming Trees has their Last Words LP going to be reissued. The first Outkast album.
That? Yeah. Wait, what is the Screaming Trees one?
Last Words, it's called. I think those are like their final recordings after the Dust album, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that band. They were a great band.
That guy's got a killer voice. So.
He really does. It's like, yeah, he actually, speaking of Cobra Verde, he sings on, Cobra Verde, John Pekovic and my buddy Tim Parn, who we were in Sons of Elvis together. They're in Cobra Verde, but now they have this band Sweet Apple.
Oh, sure.
With Jay Mascis and Dave Sweetapple. They have a brand new album, The Golden Age of Glitter, that's really great. And,
yeah, Pollard's on that too. Huh.
Yeah, and Mark Lanigan sings on one or two of those songs also. Yeah,
I've just read the press. Is that something you recommend for sure? Sweet Apple?
Oh yeah, totally. It's yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'll definitely check it out.
I would recommend that. The new Doug Gillard album is great.
Do you still hit up a lot of record stores, or mostly just on the laptop download, or how do you go?
Now I have access to the greatest record store in the world by being at WFMU, so it's kind of spoiled me.
That's one of the perks, right?
So, yeah, that's really the biggest.
That's awesome.
The insane thing, but the library there is massive, and then when you consider the fact that it's it's just like one copy of each thing or whatever, like how big that store would be if it were like an actual, or how big it would be if it were a store with multiple
copies,
copies of things. Just so yeah, I go in there and just get lost in everything. But yeah, I mean, I buy stuff I still like. I don't have I shouldn't be admitting this, it's not very cool, but I don't have a turntable, so I don't listen to vinyl at home. So maybe I'll get one, but it is that reason, like I'm just afraid to go down the wormhole. Like my apartment is already like 7 billion guitars and suits. I think like those are my two areas of excess. So if I add vinyl to that, I'll be done for.
Yeah, collectors are collectors, and once you start something, you got to keep going and going and going, and then So just, I think that's probably smart of you to stick with the guitars, you know. So.
Yeah, I don't have room for like another thing. So but yeah, I listen to CDs a lot. I find that CDs and anything that gets you off of the laptop for listening, because like something about the laptop is like you can constantly be like, next, you don't even finish listening to songs. You're like, okay, cool, that one's cool.
Yeah.
And then you keep going, But something, for whatever reason, if I put a CD on, a little CD player in the corner, like, just the way the sound fills the room, is just, I love it, and, I never, like, skip through an album. I just put it on.
I think it's the best medium because it's portable, yet there's the quality of sound. So you got kind of the best of both worlds. And I think that's something that the real young kids these days are totally missing, just listening on YouTube and iTunes. So.
Yeah, exactly.
How about Pono? Have you heard much about Pono, Neil Young's thing?
Oh, it's like high sound quality.
Yeah, he's trying to take on iTunes and the iPod by making his own, handheld machine thing and then his own program for the computer. And he claims that like an MP3 gives you 15% of a vinyl record. This gives you 85%. And I like Neil Young a lot. I think he's got a lot of crazy ideas, and I root for him. But I don't know if it's going to be able to take over this Goliath of Apple.
Yeah, no, I love the idea, and I'm rooting for him. But yeah, I agree. I think like people, the way that MP3s and everything are already dominating. I think it's sort of proof that people don't give a shit about the sound quality or really know the difference. So I would like to think people. Well, who knows though? Vinyl. It's amazing how popular that is now. So
yeah, and it's kind of cool. Like Neil also says that he blames the downfall of the music industry on the downfall of the quality of music that we're listening to, on the quality of the files of these MP3s. He says, why would you want to pay for something that's low quality and that can be traded like water? Back when vinyl was huge, I mean, I guess now it's resurging, but back when that was the only, show in town, people were shelling out big bucks for vinyl records.
Yeah, I mean,
I can kind of see that.
Now it's just disposable. You kind of go like, I mean, my iTunes is full of stuff I've maybe listened to once,
Sure.
But, yeah. But I don't know.
We'll see what happens in the next few years. I think it's an interesting time to be around. But, that about does it. Just want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you're traveling everywhere and, obviously got your schedule full. So.
Yeah, I apologize I slept through our initial phone
Don't
call.
even worry. Totally fine.
I'm so out of whack, like, from being on tour in Australia that I just woke up like at noon.
No big deal at all.
Sweet man.
Check it out. It's davehillonline.com, right?
Yep.
And WFMU.org every Tuesday night, 9 to 12 p.m. And they're all archived if you want to hear it the next day. Got any guests lined up for this week? Or?
Yeah. Tomorrow will be Hari Kondabolu, a great comedian.
Nice.
I believe Jenda Friedman. I have to double check with her. Another great comedian.
Cool.
And I also believe Sean Yassault, currently a great band called Star and Dagger, but she was in White Zombie.
That's how the name rings a bell. Okay, cool. Blonde hair.
And I got to email Phil Anselmo and see if he'll call it again because in a perfect world.
That was magic.
Yeah, and if I can just have him, if I could have him and Dick Cavett on every show, I'd be the happiest man alive.
Nice. So, follow you on, it's Mr. Dave Hill, at Mr. Dave Hill, and, DaveHillOnline.com. Anything else? Any last words?
Let me think. Oh, here's something exciting. My Valley Lodge, our song is going to be the theme song to the new John Oliver show on HBO.
Really? Which song?
The song called Go. It's the first
Oh.
song on our new album. On his show, which I believe is called Last Week Tonight.
Awesome. It's so crazy how The Daily Show, if you would have asked me in like 1999 if Stephen Colbert would be taking over for Dave Letterman, John Oliver having his own show, all these offshoots. I mean, that's really cool. I think that's an awesome thing, how it started from small and now it's everywhere, so.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think it's great. I'm huge fans of both of theirs and not to take anything away from anybody else, but, I think that those are two guys who, the fact that they're going to be having these shows is gives me hope for America and show business,
It does, yeah.
Because I think they're very, hilarious, smart guys, and we don't get enough of that. A lot of times, we just, I can quote Dick Cavett, as I like to do.
Sure.
I was talking with him about, basically that how stuff sucks all the time. And he said, there's this saying, like, the people get what the people want. He's like, but I disagree. I think the people get what the people get.
Huh.
And I think far too often the people get mediocrity.
Sure.
And for guys like Colbert and John Oliver to, have their own shows, I think it's great.
They're an alternative to that, yeah.
Yeah, there's just too much crap out there. To have like really smart, funny stuff, will only help more smart, funny stuff get out there and hopefully improve our culture and our nation.
Yeah, I think like that's happening, and it's cool to be around in 2014, if you ask me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, just want to thank you one more time, and yes, check it out. Goddamn Dave Hill Show, Tuesday night, 9 to 12 p.m. on WFMU.org. All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome. On behalf of Dave Hill, this is Andy Dare signing off for the Andy Dare Show. From November 2012, here is episode 67, hailing from Columbus. This is the best of Copyright. All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the 13th episode of the Andy Dare Show. I'm your host, Andy Dare, and currently today I'm very lucky to have with me via phone, I got the hip-hop legend Copywrite. Copy, how you doing, man?
Hey, young world. Chilling, man. How are you?
Very good, actually. Having a lot of fun with my new show. We got to speak with you last November on the Fleecast and learned a lot about your knowledge for music, and I thought it would be something to carry over to the new show. So just thanks again for calling in and do a little interview today. So, yeah, if my listeners want to find out more about your world, what can they hit you up on Twitter? And if so, what's the handle and what's the websites they can find you at?
Yeah, tell them hit me up on Twitter. It's just Copywrite, COPYWRITE.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I've been seeing you up there. There's a lot of funny stuff, a lot of cool hip hop stuff going on there. But yeah, in the last interview, we covered a lot about the life and times of Peter Nelson, which is your latest studio record. I've seen that it's got quite some legs on it. I think you've taped 5 or 6 different music videos for it.
Yeah, we did about that. Yeah, and we really wanted to do more, man, but just didn't work out like that.
I got you. But yeah, so we definitely covered the bases on the new album. I thought we could take it all the way back to the beginning for Copyright. And yeah, I was reading that the first single you released with Megahertz was World Premiere in 1998. off of Fondlem Records, and I know Bobbito Garcia is quite a character. Any stories about you meeting Bobbito for the first time?
Man, when we first dropped our demo off, because he used to have a store called Footwork in Manhattan, and he had a store called Footwork in Philly. So our, at the time, manager, Nelson Morales, it was his idea to go out there and drop our shit off to him. So we went out there. We dropped a demo off at each store, Philly and Manhattan. Waited about a month, and we just thought he wasn't feeling it. So we get a call back, and he hits us, once again a month later, telling us he played it on the show and he wants to release it. So I mean, that for us was that's all we could ask for was just for the man to give us a chance to get our foot in the door. No crazy stories. I mean, Garcia is a character, and he gave us all of our first chances. Like he was the first cat that we went overseas with. And I mean, we were the little guys, man. We were over there with Dilated. This is before they got signed to Capitol. We were over there with Last Emperor, who was still with Aftermath at the time. So I mean, we owe that dude so much musically,
Yeah, for sure. But so Stretch and Bobbito was the main show that they were using to promote all these new younger acts, and so MHZ came up on that. And how many did you guys print of the first single, or did you print many?
You know what? That I don't remember. I think maybe I want to guess like 500 to 1,000, and then I know there were a bunch of represses and everything, but man, I miss those days, and I miss that just how his label was. Like, don't get me wrong, I want promotion. I want people to know my album is out. But with Bobbito, he would just throw the record out, and whoever looks for it, they got to come to him, kind of. Yeah,
kind of. You got to work to it. You got to work for it if you actually want to hear the new shit, kind of, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like he promoted it. None. If you know about it, you know about it, and you find it. If not, you'll never know the record even existed.
I got you. Well, how about any stories about freestyling up on the show, or did you guys get many chances to do that, or did you meet anybody big, like anybody like MF Doom or any other names on there?
Well, when MF Doom, all right, now I got to rewind things back a little bit. I'm a big KMD fan. I was like the only dude in my school to have Mr. Hood. I don't know if you know, KMD is the group that Doom came from.
So yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the Black Bastards album too, myself.
Yeah, so when Doom was not even Doom when we were out on Fondlem. That was when he was taking a sabbatical,
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I didn't. I saw Common wearing mascara one time when we all of us saw him wearing mascara. Either that or he just looks like he's wearing mascara all the time. But
maybe he was crying.
We saw him. Man, we kind of had some legendary ciphers, not to toot my own horn, but going off what the kids tell me and what Bobbito and everybody tells me, the cipher we had up there was me, Jakai Camus, Cage, Yak, Weasley Bruin. I don't know, man. I think LP was up there. It's not that time, a different time, but we had some pretty good ciphers, man. I mean, I love Bobbito for doing what he's done for hip-hop and for us.
Oh, of course. Hey, what's he doing now? I know he didn't quit the show, or he retired, right?
I mean, he's always doing something. Bobbito's the kind of dude who, when you think he fell off the earth, he's consulting for Nike. Like, he's always doing something big. And I know he writes. I know he really is a consultant, or was a consultant for Nike. He used to play pro basketball in Puerto Rico. He's never, ever, ever just chilling, though. He's always doing a bunch of shit.
I got you. Okay.
I know he put out some book, but yeah. You know what? I don't know if a lot of people know this too. He actually started out as an A&R for Def Jam Records. He used to be an A&R.
Really? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that definitely helps having a show and bringing up new talent when you are an A&R guy. I know that for sure. But how did this all like work together to form the album as Table Scraps? Was it mostly songs that you guys were kicking around, or was it recorded in one thing?
I wouldn't even call that thing an album. It's demos. The songs on there is the demo that got us, like, whatever, got us signed to Bob, even though there was never any signature or anything. basically that's what we call the table scraps. You know, turntable scraps, shit laying around. You know, here's a single, here's a demo, here's some shit that's been on vinyl. We're just now about to drop the debut, the Megahertz debut. You know, like none of us in the group consider that an album.
I gotcha. Huh. Awesome.
Yeah.
How early is the earliest stuff featured on that album? Are we talking back mid-90s or?
Definitely mid-90s, yeah. Like 95, 96. It's when we were really just trying to, Megahertz is, man, we went through so many different things, like, you know, different, used to be 9 of us. Jakai was never really in Megahertz. Me and Jakai started out in Opium Prodigy. Me and Jakai weren't even cool when we first dropped World Premiere. It wasn't until the next single that I made him get on the single and shit. Like, basically, he never gave a shit about rapping. He never wanted to put out any music. Just forced him to get on the single and shit, and then he kind of got addicted to it. But, yeah, man, I mean, we're all, there's whole shit on there. So the shit that we're working on now, man, I wish I could sit in a room and play you the shit. Like, it's really, really, really what the shit that, the type of album that we'd always hoped to make is what we're making. Like, it's just coming out real nice. Real crazy. You know, I hate to say next level because it's fucking stupid to say it, but just anything what you would expect to hear from, like, RJ, me, Jakai, and Tage Future is basically what we're doing. And we got a few smooth verses on there, too.
That's crazy, man. I'm really excited. Are we going to be able to hear that before the year's over? Or?
I think so, man. I hope so. As long as, you know, everything runs smoothly. But, yeah, it should definitely drop this year. We've got, like, 10 songs done for it. We're just, I kind of had to put that on pause to finish up God Save the King, which is this other album I'm dropping in a few months. But, yeah, man, it should be out by the end of this year.
All right.
Should definitely be out. We're looking for, like, a November, October release, so.
I know a bunch of heads out in the Midwest that are really waiting on that, so should have a lot of people to play to if you ever want to bring the tour into the Midwest for sure. But yeah, I'd like to rewind back a little bit more. You know, so you guys had Megahertz with the table scraps. How did that kind of turn into a deal with Eastern Conference Records? And did you want to sign Megahertz to Eastern Conference, or did you want to go solo when that came?
No, I never wanted to be solo, man. Always wanted to put out Megahertz shit. But Cage tracked me down, got my number from Bobito, and basically wanted to work with me and shit, and was telling me that Milo wanted to work with me. He heard World Premiere, he only wanted to work with me. So when I went out there, I caught a Greyhound bus. Oh, so fucking, man, this is so long ago. This was like 90, I want to say 98, 99. I went out there with singles, though. I went out there with the song This Year and, what else? Counseling. And I tried to, you know, shop those as the single, but Milo really wasn't trying to work it. I brought Mighty My Dead Ringer, too. You know, RJ's first album.
Yeah.
He didn't want to sign it. Man, some people just don't have a vision for things, and he definitely didn't have the vision, and I guess that's why he's DJing for...
I heard he's making Tiesto-type beats or something, right?
I don't know. He's DJing, and on paper, this is going to sound fucked up because I don't care. I don't judge people, whatever. He's just DJing for gay weddings and things like that, which is, you know, if he's making his paper, that's cool. But some people just don't get hip-hop, and they never were hip-hop, and they never had it in their blood, and they're just doing whatever is convenient at the time to pay him a little money. And he's one of those dudes. I
got you. Huh. Well, I mean, I do understand, yeah.
And with no offense, let me add this. I appreciate what he has done for me, you know, putting out my album and being, you know, the shit he's done for me, I appreciate it, man. As a man, I appreciate that. That's not gone overlooked. But, you know, just some people just aren't, it's just not in them.
People do change and transform as the years go by and stuff like that. But, man, the High Exalted, when that first dropped, I mean, I can only compare it to an indie Illmatic just because, I mean, you had 4 beat makers that seemed like they all wanted the same thing to happen with the output of the album. And, I mean, there's not a weak track on the album. And even when you re-released it last year without Milo's beats, I mean, it still held its own. And that shows how classic of an album is. You can just take parts of it away and still let it be like a, you know, beginning to end banger. So that's the High Exalted, of course.
I'll appreciate it, man. I really do. I've got, I got all kind of things I don't like about it, especially now, but, that's always how the fucking artist is going to be. He's always going to bitch about what he doesn't like, so I appreciate that, man.
Of course. And how was touring with the Smut Peddlers, touring with Mr. Liff and A$AP Rock for that album? Was it a fun experience, or was it just...
Oh, hell yeah. Real fun, man. Real fun. Man, the longer you stay in any industry, the more you get bored, you understand how shit works, the backgrounds of the puppet show, so to speak. So back then, it was still new to me, like, certain shit, running around on the tour bus, just going to different states and people knowing my shit. So I had a blast, man. The shit was it was real good back then.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it was real fun, man.
Any town that you especially liked performing in, or was it back to Columbus? Was that your favorite place, or?
Man, probably California and overseas and Canada for sure.
Yeah, I heard Canada's real laid back,
It's fucking awesome, man. I love Canada. The girls there are cool as hell. The weed there's cheap. The strip clubs are different. You don't have to tip the girl. You just buy drinks. I mean, the people, the best way that I can describe Canada is like they're like Americans without the insecurities and egos. They're really cool, man. Like, they're real chill people.
Awesome. Well, okay, so after the High Exalted dropped, seemed like everything was going great for you guys and the label itself, but soon it seemed like relationships were starting to fray and people were starting to want to do their own thing. Can you explain the 8-year absence between the Life and Times of Peter Nelson and the High Exalted? And I know you weren't just sitting on your ass. I mean, there was plenty of mixtapes coming around, but was it mainly a label thing or was it a personal thing?
Nah, it was mostly a lazy thing. It was mostly like me just sitting around, just content with where I was and just, not really trying to, not trying to do anything. Some of the that is kind of when shit started, like, I started not becoming cool with certain people and Weatherman just because of the prior experience. Like when we were on tour, I learned a lot about certain cats, and I was like, wow, like just shit that, like, just kind of like, man, this is the cat that I'm like chilling with. Like, this dude who told me he sold his soul to the devil when he was 13 and trying to get a record deal. Like, that's the cat that I'm rolling around with. I'm like, shit like that. And I just was like, man, I don't vibe. This isn't, the person I thought it was. Like, I don't vibe with this cat. I don't vibe with these cats. And then, but for me, man, I don't give a shit about music all like that. And what I mean by that is it does not dictate my life. It does not make me who I am. I don't care about it, man. Like, I wouldn't backstab my friend over music. I'm not going to hang out with people who I normally wouldn't hang out with if not for the music. So I just separated myself from certain people, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep your dignity and keep your self-worth there. I mean, it's not worth wasting all that just to further your career for a little bit. I mean, it's better to have the dignity in the long run, I think. And I think you've been able to keep that.
I just can't tolerate it. Like, I'm a Gemini, so if something's bothering me, I cannot sit there. Like, I feel like I'm going through torture to try and, just deal with it. So I just got to get the fuck up and get out of any situation that I'm not happy in. But yeah, for sure, man, that's definitely it.
I got you. Well, yeah, in the downtime, you got to release that Cruise Control mixtape. That was, I like that a lot. And you got to use some unreleased Dilla beats. How'd you get the Dilla beats?
My manager, which is Beehive at the time, that's Jay's first cousin. He managed Bleak, and he was managing Dilla at the time. That's when I won the Rock the Mic battle. He told me he had some Dilla beats, so, he hit me with, like, actually a bunch of beats, Bink Dog, Dilla, cats like that. And he was like, use whatever you want. He was like, just go ahead and demo it up. So I did, like, 3 tracks, and, I asked him, could I put him on a mixtape? I don't think that Beehive realized that the mixtape, which was Cruise Control, had major distro. I thought he thought it was just some little tiddlywink fuck-around mixtape.
Yeah.
And really, in hindsight, I really was just so gassed and so excited to be using the Dilla beats, and I thought that, you know, every rapper thinks that if the producer hears what you do over it, he's going to be like, oh, it's dope. No. Producers don't give a fuck about how dope you are. All they care about is, you know, your loot, their loot. And I don't blame them. I'm not saying that in a bad way. You know, fuck you. Like, if someone raps over my shit, if you're dope, I don't really give a shit. You know, what's that have to do with the fact that you're just taking my beats and trying to rap to them and use them for your own personal gain? So I feel them on that. But that's how those came about. And I've got like 10 Dilla beat CDs, man. Like, I've got shit that House Shoes hit me up about and was like, yo, I've never heard these. Where did you get these? And I burnt, you know, House Shoes and Hex copies of all the joints, and I'm not using them. Like, all they do is, you know, I've listened to them, and that's as far as they go.
Well, is it a thing of respect?
But
or?
it's an honor. It's crazy, and it's like a piece of history I feel like I've gotten. It's an honor to even have this man's beats, and I really miss that cat. I miss the sounds that he made, man. I miss Dilla, because there's so many copycatters with using MOP ad-libs all over the beats and fucking sirens and everything that Dilla would have done. The only thing that they're missing is progression. Dilla wouldn't still be on this shit if he was here.
Exactly, yeah. They're missing the creativity that Dilla has. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, all that was building up until you finding your own footing on the independent label Man Bites Dog?
Well, Man Bites Dog hit me up a while ago. But they didn't have any distro. And I had known Ryan from, he used to promote shows. So I signed back then for a production album, which is an album I'm still working on. Basically, like, me not rapping that much, just my production and a lot of MCs over my beats. But you know, then later on, things started moving. He started getting, you know, more like, you know, distro for his label and shit like that. So after time, it made sense to sign with him. And I already knew he was a good dude. You know, I already know he's cool people. Everything on the business is on the up and up. So yeah.
So this will not happen to another Eastern Conference story, you don't think? Or?
Well, no, you can never say that, man. Anything can happen, especially in this thing. But you know, man,
good vibes.
It's crazy, dude. I don't even really. I love music, but I don't even really care about it. Like, I love it, man. But like, you know, at one point in my life, it was like the be all end all, and now it's just like a cool little hobby.
Yeah,
but,
I got you.
Man, I don't know, man. They're on their shit. I wouldn't say that anything negative would come out of this situation, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
They do good shit. The owner, RML, he's a good dude, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good music that's about to come out, man. Like I said, I'm dropping this God Save the King album in about 2-3 months, and what that is, it's a concept album with a lot of UK artists on it. Also got a lot of, you know, artists from the U.S. I've got Inspector Deck on there. I've got Killer Priest. I got Gilly the Kid. I got, you know, that's Wayne's Ghostwriter. Lil Wayne's Ghostwriter. Shit, man. There's just some good shit on there, but I don't want people to think that it's a copyright album because they'll be disappointed when they hear it, if that's what they're going and thinking.
I got you. Yeah, like, The Life and Times was definitely a more personal sound compared to the High Exalted. You really delved deep, especially on tracks like Confessional and whatnot. I kind of feel like June was, you know, the single June that you did with RJ back in the early 2000s. That was kind of like a blueprint for the Life and Times of Peter Nelson. How correct am I with that statement?
I could see how it could look like that, but not really, man. It just was, after I went through so much shit, it was the only way that I could even step forward. You know, I couldn't make another album full of just boasting and metaphors and shit. I mean, that would bore the fuck out of me, and I'm sure the listener too. That was kind of always my plan with the first album, was just give people a reason to be interested in you.
Yeah.
Give people a reason to be interested in your personal life, because nobody wants to hear you coming out the gate talking about your personal life. Give them a reason to follow, you know, the way your mind works, and then then relate to them, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But now I could see how you said that though. It's not too far off. It's just that it wasn't planned at all. And when I did June, I didn't think it was gonna do what it did. You know, as far as people coming up to me and saying it helped them get through death and it helped them get through tough situations. Now that's what I was going for though on Life and Times. I was, you know, trying to use my situations to help other people also who were going through the same shit or similar.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. I said you did about 5 videos for the thing. Is there one video you have that you thought was a cut above the rest? Or I thought Confessional was really, you know, looked like a motion picture, if you could say.
Thank you, man. No, you know what? That would probably be it. Confessional.
And what's the story behind the Confessional video? I know you got the gas mask on and the baseball bat and walking through the tracks. Is that from a movie or what is that? What is that about?
Yeah, it was kind of supposed to be like a rough concept, kind of like that one Will Smith joint, I Am Legend, where basically the concept of it was I'm the last man on earth, and now I'm confessing all the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Which kind of had nothing to do with the song, but it was a cool little visual idea. We knocked that out in like 5 hours. We knocked that video out really fast, surprisingly fast. And shout out to Casey who did it also. He's real sick, man, dude from out of Boston. Really good at what he does.
Yeah, that thing looked like a movie, and it looked like it took weeks to cut instead of 5 hours. So that's a good sign. I mean, any other videos? I think the Mega video too. We were talking about how it's a more personal album, but that song itself really brought you back to the MHC days, Megahertz days, and you know, just spitting, you know, dope lyrics. And that video is also an eye catcher as well.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you know what? I like that video a lot because it's got that song almost didn't happen, man. I really, if you know me, you know I always have to do at least one track with everybody from Megahertz on it per album. I'm really about, you know, I take loyalty serious, and I really feel like a piece of shit if I don't involve my friends and people who I started with. But I was happy that shit came through and shit. We found all the verses and shit. We found the old Camus verses, and everything came through, man. Like, God willing.
Well, is that song gonna be featured on the new Megahertz, or are we gonna get completely new joints on there?
Nah, we're just gonna leave it on Life and Times. But we got a few new ones. Like I said, we got maybe like 4 or 5 songs with Camus on it. So, you know, fans will be able to hear Camus on some vintage rapping shit.
I was gonna ask, how'd you feel about the album that Def Jux put out for Camus?
I loved it, man. I got it. It's in my car right now. I liked it a lot. I mean, you know, it wasn't finished. The mix downs weren't there. There were songs where there were verses missing and shit. But I understand and respect that LP left it like that. You know, he left it how Camus left it.
Yeah, it seems like LP's got the respect, so you can trust that he's gonna put out something that's not just rushed, or, you know, something that's a fully formed album pretty much. But I also really liked him in Camus' Central Services album. I think that was even better because that seemed like that was, you know, in the can, completely formed and ready for release. That just never got released till after the death.
Right. Yeah. Yep. See, I didn't know anything about that when they were making that. Of course, now I can say shit like this and I mean it, but it doesn't mean that I don't like it. Like, I've known Camus longer than anybody in this music game or whatever. You know, I introduced him to Jakai. I was his link for introducing him to everybody. I mean, Cage didn't even like Camus when he first met him. He hated him. But with that said, I think that if there's one person on earth who would have been able to carry out the album and work on it and shit to where Camus would have been proud of it, it could have only been me. But, you know, I'm not mad at the album. I think it's dope. I know how Camus' mind works, man. Like, we've been fucking real close friends since middle school, you know, elementary school, or not elementary school, but middle school. So I know how he likes mix downs and shit. We come from the same school. We learned a lot of the same shit from intellect, from the same person. So I know I could have freaked that shit and made it a little bit better, but it's not about what I could have done. It's about his piece of work as he left it. So I respect it. It's got a lot of good shit on there. I'm surprised that it didn't, make a little bit more noise, because it's really ahead of its time, man.
Yeah, I think we're at the point in the record industry where Definitive Jux was like such a big label. I mean, from I'd say 2000 to 2004 or 5, and like everybody was waiting for every release. Holding their breath, waiting for the next album to drop. But I think LP or somebody just dropped the ball as far as really pressing, putting these records out there and making sure everybody hears them. Because I mean, even Cage's last album, nobody really was interested in, and I mean, if LP were to release a new album, I think maybe that could get some interest, but it doesn't seem like the distribution's there that it used to be. I mean, it also has to do with stores closing and stuff
every shit happens for sure, man. And I know it's not easy to run a label and to do all the shit LP was doing, so maybe that has something to do with it, having too full of a plate. And...
Yeah, are you an LP on good terms, or?
I'm gonna guess that he has some invisible grudge with me, but no, I've never done anything to LP.
Good, because I think he's I mean, with the beats at least, he had a sound that you couldn't really compare to anything else at the time. Sort of like Camus' beats, they didn't sound like anybody else's, and that's important, And for this show, I don't know, maybe later I'll do this, but we were going to talk about our top 5 favorite hip hop producers of the 1990s. I'm going to go through mine real quick. Maybe you could just chime in, or if you've got some that aren't on my list, maybe. My number 5, I got the aforementioned Jay Dilla, who, he was really doing a lot of work before he made his group with Slum Village. A lot of people don't know, but he's got beats on Farside's Lab Cab in California. I really like Runnin' is an awesome song, and he took that sample and really made a new sound with it. A lot of people didn't know it was Dilla at the time, but that. Then you had the Love Movement and Beats, Rhymes, and Life from Tribe Called Quest.
I'm gonna voice my opinion, and I know a lot of people might not like this, but I love Dilla to death. I love his beats. I mean, come on, he was the first person, like you said, in Running. He was the first person to put a bass line. Well, I'm sorry, Ultramagnetic did that first, but he was one of the first person to really run with that shit, and he would put a bass line in the chorus and have no bass line during the rap part, which is kind of unheard of. Or he would wait like 8 bars to bring the bass line in, which was really fucking dope, really sick. That fucks your whole mind up.
Exactly. But, so when it does drop in, it's mind blowing when the bass finally does kick in, and yeah. Okay, so that was my number 5, Jay Dilla. We could go on for hours about that, but no need really. He's a legend. My number 4 is kind of a weird pick that not a lot of people talk about, but if you're anything into the West Coast gangster sound, look no further than DJ Quick. Any thoughts, Copyright?
Oh, he's incredible, man. Again, I had purchased the name on cassette when I was in middle school, man, so I definitely was a Quick fan. Yeah, he's incredible. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he's really, 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 really dope. And he's a good rapper. To me, he's got great rhythm.
Oh yeah.
Dope.
Well, I've got a DVD of his, and it shows how musical the guy actually is. He'll get on the guitar, he'll lay down a guitar riff, he'll get on the bass guitar, put a bass down, then keys, then he'll get behind the drum kit, then he'll throw a sample in. What can't this guy do? It's just amazing. So.
Yeah, he's really dope, man. Who else you got? I thought you were gonna say who's the one cat's name? Bobcat? I'm not thinking Bobcat. No, anyway.
Yeah, but the his real name's David Blake, and he's got a new album out.
Book of David.
What was that?
Book of David. It's called Book of David.
Book of David, yeah, Book of David. He's got he even had Busy Bone on there, and I hadn't heard much from Busy Bone lately, but the two together sound great. He's got Ice Cube sounding 20 years younger on that thing. Yeah, the guy does not get the respect that he's due, and I think he's got a lot of songs that are, Grammy nominated, and they were hit songs in their own right, but you don't realize they're Quick songs. And he's been around for 20, 25 years. I think he's definitely left his mark on the scene for sure.
Yeah.
Would you ever get on a Quick beat, Mr. Copy?
Yeah, fuck no, man. Of course.
Of course. Okay, so that brings me to my number 3, and the next 3 are just legends. So there's not much else we could say about them really. But number 3 is the RZA, Robert Diggs.
Yeah, man, RZA. I haven't really thought RZA had it since the first few albums, man. But see, I'm picky, man. Like, I don't know. To me, RZA just doesn't. What the fuck has RZA done? Like,
well,
albums that are dope. He's just too hit or miss for me, man. He's way too hit or miss for me.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, probably after the year 2000, it kept going more experimental, more strange, and less hip hop, I'd say. Especially that 7th Diagrams album wasn't really a banger, or 8 Diagrams, excuse me.
Yeah.
But
I love experimental. It doesn't have to be rap for me. But yeah, it's just too much. It's too much shit that just doesn't do anything for you, for your senses, you know?
I got you. Yeah, the reason why I put him on the list was that run between, like, the debut album, Enter the Woo, and up until their second album, because of all those solo albums that I think he produced every single one of those solo albums. I mean, you got the classics like Liquid Swords, you got Only Built for Cuban Links, what else you got there? What's Ghostface's? Oh, Iron Man, and then you got Tikal. All those. There's like that could be a box set of 70 bangers on there, and that's kind of why I had to put him on the list. I mean, he obviously hasn't matched that heights for 15 years, but yeah, just for that stretch of 2 years where he released 6 or 7 completely self-produced albums, I just got to give it to the guy for that. So.
Yeah, I feel it, man. I feel it. I mean, he's on a lot of people's classic lists, so it's not like it's unheard of and shit. I'm just a picky bastard.
No, I got you. I'd love to see Megahertz after you guys drop this new album. Maybe all of you like go ahead and do solo albums and have them all, have the same team producing them or something, just so it's got a united feel or something. That could be. It's something that people aren't really doing nowadays, and I kind of miss that period in music. So.
It's hard though, man. It's hard to get a lot of beats from the same producer just because,
everybody's busy with all sorts of different things.
I'm just picky. Like, out of 20 beats, I might find 3,
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking about everybody from, like, even Dilla, even on these Dilla beat CDs. Like, that's why I try to tell people every beat is not a keeper. Like, if you listen to even the greatest of the greats, like RJ, anybody, it's just a fact of life. Every beat you're not going to like. That's why it's kind of hard to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You get a handful out of a 50 beats or something.
Like back in the day, right? Before I understood how shit worked, I would be like, "Oh, this beat's whack. Oh, Premier did a whack beat." No, it's the artist's fault because he picked this whack beat. Premier may not even have liked the beat. It may have just been some fuck around shit that he ended up saving. Like, oh, somebody might like this,
Yeah, exactly. That guy scooped it up, and now everybody thinks it's Premier's fault, but. Yeah.
Yeah, some people just don't know how to pick beats, man.
That's true, and that brings me to my number 2. Good segue there. I got DJ Premier. I mean, if he's number 2, who's going to be number 1? But any thoughts on Premier that haven't been thought before?
I love Premier, man, but once again, not everything's incredible. Actually, I haven't heard shit, man. You know what? The best beat that I've heard from him, last beat that I've heard was something he did for Christina Aguilera, I think.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was because he did 4 or 5 on that album. What was that shit? It's called For My Fans or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely heard it. Yeah.
Incredible. Royce killed it on Bar Exam 1. But no, I love DJ Premier, and also I love the fact that he made his own sound. He created his own niche to the point where everybody was just trying to bite him. To the point where when you do collage cuts for a chorus, you call it do it like Premier,
Yeah.
He's done so much dope shit, and the real ill shit is that he's from the fucking West Coast.
He's from the West Coast?
He's from Texas, yeah.
Oh, okay, he's from Texas, got you. I could have swore he was New York.
And Guru's from Boston, so none of them are from Brooklyn.
Huh. Yeah, but I mean, that's another style that the way he's sampled, kind of his samples, he must have quite a record collection. I'm sure he's got a basement full, but yeah, Chris Martin, DJ Premier. obviously Guru's gone, so I think Premier's kind of working on his own label or something. Is that what he's up to?
Oh, dude, I'm not even sure, man.
Because, yeah, you're right. I haven't heard a beat from him for years, so.
Man, I'd love to get a beat from Premier. I just don't feel like paying like 5 stacks.
Yeah, I got you. Ask Man Bites Dog. Come on.
Knots. I just got some beats from Knots, and I'm working on one of my solo albums. I don't know what it's gonna drop on or whatever. I got a few options, and I got my own label also through Nature Sounds Distribution. So at any given time, I could just drop my own shit on my own label.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's probably where this Knots beat's gonna end up at.
Oh yeah, Knots is another one of those. He's a young guy, but he's got he's got that early Premier sound a little bit, kind of, and I mean, he's got his own style too. So.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah, man.
All right, you're probably gonna hate my number one, but and this is nothing to do with the last 10 years. This is all '90s output. I got to go with Andre Young, Dr. Dre. I mean.
I knew it. Yeah, that's a good one though. Andre's definitely a good one, man. Look, he went through so many eras, and I don't care what beats he produces, and Melman does this or did this. He's dope, man. Who gives a fuck about all that at the end of the day? We don't have time to nitpick. It's just like, is it dope? All right, cool.
Yeah, it's like he did both the Chronic, Doggy Style, and the Marshall Mathers LP all in the span of one decade. So I think he's kind of earned, a decade off just resting on his laurels, kind of.
Then you got to look at the other shit he did, like all the NWA shit, even Evil for Zaggin', even that album when he did that, like.
And that was '90s too. That's '91, I think. So.
Yeah. Like all their, like A Bitch Is a Bitch, all their old shit was all super hot, man. The fucking shit he did for Michelle A was hot for R&B shit,
Yeah.
That shit was hot. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Andre's a beast, man.
Yeah. Have you even ever heard that unreleased King T album that was going to be on Aftermath? Like.
Nah, man. Nah, I want to.
That actually does have some bangers on it that he never even went ahead and used with other people. It's just a complete album that he kind of worked on. Like had DJ Quick on there too. He's got weird collabs with Shaq and stuff like that. But yeah, that could have been a big hit before he came out. But I think I heard he shelved it because he had just signed Marshall. So that's just how things work. But yeah, the guy kind of created his own sound, and as you can say, he had 4 or 5 bangers all within 10 years. He's kind of earned a decade off, earned a decade to just whatever he's doing, juicing with steroids and working on his neck muscles or whatever. So. But yeah, that's my number one pick, Andre Young. Pretty sure Copy agrees with most of my list there. Any beat makers from the '90s that you could throw out there that we didn't really cover?
Man,
kind of put you on the spot, but
the Bomb Squad. Hank Shockley and Keith Shockley. They did a bunch of. They did all the Public Enemy stuff. They did the second Leaders of the New School album.
They did Ice Cube's debut, right? America's Most Wanted.
Yeah. They did America's Most. Yep. What else, man? There's a bunch of little guys who I could think of that got overlooked, but they didn't do enough stuff to get, like Sam Sever he was like one of the 6 B2s back in the '90s, early to mid '90s, but like he just didn't do enough shit.
Yeah, I got you.
Shit, man.
I
don't know, but
how about Alchemist? I mean, Alchemist came up in the '90s, kind of, right? Or...
Yeah, he used to be in this group called, like, what was it called, Mad Flavor, or they were like, it was one of those rap groups with one of those real corny names and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in that group. That was like where we got his little feet wet and shit. Alchemist is one of my favorites, though. One of my favorite beat producers for sure.
Oh yeah, like that new album he did with Madlib's brother Ono. Gangrene, that one was one of my favorite albums of the last year too. He just did it.
Ono's incredible too, man. I got beat CDs from Ono.
Ono's sick, yeah.
Yeah, super producer Dave West.
Dave West.
Got beats from him. He's crazy.
Yeah, I think you should check out that new Currency album with all Alchemist beats too. Covert Coupe, that was a true banger. Dropped on 420. now we're getting ahead of ourselves. More '90s beat makers. I'm trying to even think, but you could say Muggs. I mean, DJ Muggs was really dope. But yeah, I think that about does it. Yeah, that pretty much does it for our hour or whatever. But yeah, so we got The Life and Times of Peter Nelson out now. You can get that on iTunes. That's in most chain stores, Best Buys, right?
Yeah, FYE. It's not in Best Buy because they suck.
They keep shrinking their music selection. But yeah, go check it out at FYE or iTunes. Got the new album God Save the King dropping, I think, this summer. You said a new Megahertz album dropping later this fourth quarter release, maybe. Follow Copywrite at Copywrite. That's COPYWRITE. Any other shout-outs you'd like to say before we end this little thing?
Man, I just want to shout out everybody who who's followed my music or whatever. But I just want to shout out God, really, man, really. I mean, everything else is side shit, besides God. Like, so shout out to everybody out there who's trying to do good for themselves and for other people, and who's going through some shit and they keep fucking up. Just keep it moving, man, and holler at me at Twitter, man.
All right, sounds good. Copyright. This is Andy Dare. Follow me at Andy Dare. That's ANDYDERER. And check us out. Check out the podcast. That's the Andy Dare Show. Bunch of new stuff coming on. Got a bunch of guests lined up already. Just like to thank Copyright so much for joining me via phone. We will do it again when the new album drops, Copy.
Thank you, Andy. And, man, you got much love from me. Any support that you need, hit me up, man, and I've got you.
All right. Thanks, man. That sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
All right, peace.
From episode 116, hailing from Dayton, Ohio, here is Keep It in Motion with special guest Tobin Sprout.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for
Voices.
checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 116. I'm joined by a real cool guy, Tobin Sprout of Guided by Voices. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, you guys are celebrating another new album out this week, Cool Planet. How was it like recording that one? I heard you guys did that in the middle of, this terrible winter we just went through. So.
Yeah, it was brutal, I think, for everybody. Had a pretty nasty winter, but we went down to Dayton to a studio called Cybertectics, which is an old school studio with it's got a couple of two tracks and a bunch of old equipment and mics and stuff, and it's been there for practically forever. And I'd recorded in there before, but we decided to do some songs there, and it was 15 below zero when we were there, which is pretty unusual. It's normal, up here in Michigan, but down there it was pretty unusual, and just tons of snow, and so we'd record and then we'd go out in the car and listen to them, and it was just, it would take your breath away to be sitting out in the car trying to listen to these songs. But anyways, we got through all the songs, and I think we were down there for about 2 weeks.
Geez, yeah, I'm up here in Chicago. We got hit pretty hard, as we normally do.
Yeah.
But Dayton, Ohio, usually it's a little bit more temperate over there. Is it a thing of, recording an album in the summer, you guys kind of want to get done with the session and head outside and, go play catch or something? I don't know, go have a barbecue outside, and so you're not really committed? Is it more of you're super focused because you don't really want to leave the studio?
I don't know if that really matters. It just happens to be when we got together to do the album.
Nice.
We do record in the summertime, sometimes in Mitch's garage and sometimes, in other studios. But yeah, the weather doesn't really have a whole lot to do with it. But
I only have heard a couple tracks from the new album, but I did read a little thing that said that you got a couple more songs that you normally do on the album. For my listeners, Toby's kind of like the George Harrison of Guided by Voices, where he has a few tracks on each album and they're all stellar, but Robert Pollard's kind of the main man of the band, correct?
Yeah, he writes probably 5 songs to my one song. I mean, he just knocks them out. I don't know how he does it, but yeah, I think I've got 5 songs on this album. One of them I co-wrote with Mitchell,
sure.
Called The Bone Church, and he kind of recorded some stuff in his garage. He's got a little setup, and then sent it up to me, and I threw some vocals on it, sort of the same way I did Down by the Racetrack.
Okay, cool.
He sent me kind of an instrumental demo, and then I kind of threw in some. He had drums on it too, but I threw some extra drums and then another guitar and put some vocals over it, and that's kind of how we put that together. So
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's not kind of neat working with him. I hadn't really worked with Mitch before, so I hope to do a few more songs on it.
Cool. Yeah. How was it after that long hiatus? I mean, you guys had your farewell show at the New Year's Eve of 2004 to 2005, actually at the Metro Chicago, and but then what? You guys took 6 or 7 years off doing other projects, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was that. Maybe it was that many years, but yeah, that was kind of it until this Matador thing came up, and they wanted the original lineup for this one show in Vegas, and once we decided to do the one show, why not do a few more shows, and from that we started getting calls from all over and
awesome.
We ended up doing a 3-week tour out west, all over the country, and things just worked out so well. We just went ahead and decided to make Factory.
That's awesome.
Factory album. And then snowballed from there.
And now you're on your 5th or 6th release since Reforming. And
yeah, this is the 6th.
That's awesome. And
yeah.
So is this a kind of thing where you're recording for, Guided by Voices Incorporated, so there really is no label like breathing down your neck? You're working on your own timetable, which is always fast anyways, but there's really no input from anybody in a suit, right?
No, there isn't, and that's kind of how we can put an album back to back like this. A regular label wouldn't allow that. So, and even the EP that Down by the Racetrack was just sort of thrown in the middle because we did extra songs over and no B-sides left. So, yeah, we just put them out when they're ready, and then we're on to the next one.
Is it more of a thing of trying to, is this Bob Pollard, testing himself and having you guys test yourselves out by, okay, let's get back to the studio? Or is it just a thing of, the Stones in the 60s, the Doors, they all released, 2 or 3 albums a year. They always kept constantly moving, it seemed. Is it more of an homage to that?
Right. The Beatles were released, at least 2 a year, and sometimes and the double album. So, I mean, it's not that unusual. I think it is today. I think the companies like to work them for a year, one at a time. But yeah, back then they were putting out albums all the time. It wasn't a big deal, and then singles between that.
Yeah. So being a collector was a serious deal in the 60s and 70s, and now I'm kind of like the only one of my friends that's a serious music collector. I like going to the record store. The record store day was phenomenal this year. I got to meet Kim and Kelly Deal up at Reckless Records in Wicker Park, Chicago. That was awesome.
Oh, really? Yeah. Did they do an in-store?
Yeah, they did a little pared down kind of acoustic, electric, little session with no drums, and some new songs. She got it in a nice little a little jab at Satan in Hollywood, if you know who I'm talking about, Frank Black, and but then they did a meet and greet. They couldn't be more Midwestern, more nice ladies, so it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they're neighbors.
Yeah, are they from Dayton, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we hung with them for a little bit. Yeah, I noticed you have a record store. Or you had a photo with that you're in a record store? Well,
I got a long-time sponsor, and it's kind of cool because I grew up there pretty much. My dad took me in a stroller and one of those backpack things when I was a little kid. Slowly but surely kept going. Then I got a job after college and worked there for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And then the guy retired, but he sold it all out to a second-hand type deal. So now they got records, they got power tools, they got vintage music gear, they got all sorts of stuff. You got colorful people bringing in weird stuff to sell. Like, hey, do you want this gasoline bottle or something? I'll give you nothing for that. But if you want to buy something, that'd be cool. Yeah. But it's just a cool thing. I just still like the atmosphere of being in a store. Telling people, hey, you should check this new Neil Young album out. It's recorded in a 1947 vinyl booth.
Yeah. Right.
Have you had a chance to hear any of that?
No, I haven't. I mean, it was like a 78, the Speed 78 when they used to make them right there on they cut them right to the disc.
It's him and Jack White up in Jack White's studio, and the whole thing was recorded straight in a booth. So it's just the most wobbly, hissy. You can hardly make out what's a guitar and what's a harmonica. It kind of just all blends in. But, in classic Neil Young fashion, he starts. What? Yeah, he starts off the album. He starts off the album with a cool little intro where he's speaking with his deceased parents, and he's kind of using this booth as like a way to communicate with the dead, and it's just kind of creepy, but also very heartwarming too. So.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Nice, but you guys were always known about the lo-fi, and when it did come to when Pollard was trying some out the big studios with Rick Ocasek and stuff, I mean it was good, but it just didn't feel like Guided by Voices for a lot of people. And you weren't a part of the band at the time, right?
No, I wasn't, but I managed to get on just about every album. I had either a song that was left over, or I had some kind of credit on there that I did something on it. And then a lot of times I just show up and Bob would have me come in and play piano or something. So it was kind of, I stayed in touch even though I wasn't there.
How many members, I read the Jim Greer book about Guided by Voices. What is there, like 40 or 50 members that have been a member of Guided by Voices at one time?
Probably, yeah. I bet if you look back through even, when we played in Dayton and before I even knew Bob, there was some, lineups that came in and out. But, I think I saw just about every lineup from the time I left. And there might have been one lineup that I didn't see, but I pretty much tried to catch them. And when they get to Grand Rapids, I'd go down there and see them. So
nice. I got a friend, Kevin Matthews, up in Grand Rapids, an old radio guy. But like, is it a thing of when you go to see a show, is it a lot of past members showing up and you guys all see each other? Is it still a friendly community, the ex-Guided by Voices members and the present ones?
I'd say for the most part.
Nice.
Doug's going to be playing with us on the East Coast. He's doing some shows with us coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah,
you got a couple sold-out ones in New York and D.C., it says, right?
We're going to be playing Philly, New York, and D.C., and I think Doug's going to open those.
Awesome. Yeah, so everybody kind of stays close. And then you guys are just playing a handful of shows. What, is there one up like in Madison I saw? Here.
There's, we got the East Coast, and then we're going to head out west, Des Moines, Omaha, Denver, Spokane, Portland, Seattle,
nice.
Santa Cruz, San Francisco, L.A., San Diego, Phoenix, Lawrence, Kansas, Madison, at the Barrymore, and then I think we're doing one in Chicago. At there's like a green festival or something, and then see our last show. I think that's Then the last show's the Minnesota show. Yeah, it will be the last one on that leg.
Don't you guys have a manager up in Madison? Is that Rich Turiel, or was he one time a manager? He follows me on Twitter, and we talk back and forth about GBV stuff. So
yeah, he does it when he can, but he's obligated with something else right now. So we got another manager, but yeah, Rich has been managing ever since I got back into the band.
Cool, nice.
Yeah.
And are you in? You said you're up in Michigan, or where do you live?
Yeah, it's just about 45 minutes from Traverse City north.
Okay.
From the little peninsula we sit between Lake Michigan and Lake Leelanau.
Nice.
We can walk to both lakes. It's just kind of this little thin strip of land that goes between there.
That's really cool. And
nice.
And you have grown kids and everything, correct?
Yeah. My son's in college, and my daughter will be a senior next year. So.
Have they got the musical itch like you, or is it the other way around where they don't want to have the musical itch?
No, they both have the itch. They both record and have their own songs, and they're way into it.
That's really cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just got a couple more things if you got the time. How about like when did you first start with Guided by Voices? Is this all the way back in the 1986 era, or was this a few years in?
This would be I think you had about 82, 83. Jeez. Yeah, I had a band called Figure 4, and we used to play around Dayton, and there was kind of a scene starting up back then, and I used to play this one club, and Bob came in a few times, and eventually, we got together and started talking, and from there, I joined Guided by Voices for the first, I don't know how long, but yeah, I was in Guided by Voices for a little bit, then I moved to Florida, and then when I came back, they were recording Propeller, so I went to the studio with them, and that was supposed to be the last album, and it just kind of took off because Pete Jameson had sent them out to these people to review, and all of a sudden we knew we had fans in New York and out in L.A., and things just kind of took off. And from that point, then Scat got a hold of us, and Matador, and there it is.
There it goes. Yeah, back then was Scat like the big name of Ohio to get signed? Like I was talking on the show last week. Like in the '80s, it was cool because you had scenes in it was kind of a fragmented country full of scenes. You had SST out on the West Coast. You had Touch and Go, where in Chicago you had Sub Pop up on the Pacific Northwest. And so Scat was the one, or Scat was the name to get on, right?
Yeah, Scat was kind of the cool label, the Cleveland label at the time. So
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I thought that was a big deal. It is a big deal, but I mean, at the time, I thought, okay, Scat signed us, we made it. That's it. So.
And you had no idea B1000 was right next around the corner, right?
No.
Well, that's really awesome. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
Yeah, this will be released on Saturday, so Cool Planet will be out in stores. And what is the exact Guided by Voices website? I always get it confused.
There's a robertpollard.net, and then there's I think it's guidedbyvoices.com.
Okay, cool.
Usually, you can find it on Facebook. It comes up pretty quick.
Yeah, you're on all the social media sites.
Yeah. Right.
And how about this? Is Robert Pollard a big social media guy? Because I do see him post a lot of stuff on Facebook, but it just seems like it wouldn't really he wouldn't be a fan of it, or is he? And
No, he's not really a tech guy.
Yeah, he's not too techy. He's probably got a guy posting all that stuff.
Yeah, I think his wife's on Facebook, but he's not.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once you hit a certain spot in your career, you don't really have to worry about spreading the word as much, which which is nice. But yeah, Cool Planet out now. Just want to thank Toby for taking the time out. Any last words, man?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. On behalf of Tobin Sprout, this is Andy signing off for the Andy Dare Show.
This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family-owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia. And from episode 117, I just want to apologize for the sound quality on this one. We were having issues with the connection, and then I had to use a handheld recorder in my phone. It's tough. It's the worst sound quality of the year, but it's such a great guest. What a nice guy. What an awesome, talented musician. Yes, this is No Perspective with special guest from Cleveland, Ohio, Doug Gillard. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 117. I'm joined by a rocker, Doug Gillard. How you doing, man?
Good, Andy. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, you are celebrating the new album Parade On. It's out now, and yeah, I've been able to take a listen. I love what I've been hearing so far. I hear Johnny Marr. I hear like a whole bunch of cool influences in your rock and roll stew. How is it doing a solo album after being in bands for so long? I mean, I know you've had one before or a couple before, but it's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been about what's 09 to now, 5 years. I had one out in 09, and then I had one before that too, in about 2004, and then an EP before that, and stuff really all along, all my life, solo, before I was even in bands. But it's just kind of getting, hopping back into doing a solo record and hopping back out of it. It's not, it's just kind of
a different hat.
Something. Yeah, it's a different hat, and something that actually means the most to me to do, because I've always been a writer, songwriter.
Sure. How about this? I didn't get to check like the liner notes. Are you back? Who are you backed by, or is this kind of a thing like a Todd Rundgren thing where you play a lot of the instruments yourself?
Oh, well, up until now, all the records have been where I play everything, Rundgren style, who is an influence, by the way. But this time I got smart and had guys drum for me. I didn't play drums this time.
Nice. But you did everything else?
I played everything but drums on this, and George Duran in Austin, Texas played drums on half of the songs, and Travis Harrison in New York played drums on the other half.
Nice. Well, that's really cool. Like, so yeah, these one-man bands must have been kind of an influence, as you said. Todd Rundgren, like Something Anything, where he plays almost everything for the first 3 sides of the album, like Stevie Wonder playing everything. Is that something that you were doing it like before the bands too? Were you a multi-instrumentalist, or is this something you picked up being in bands for 20, 30 years?
No, I've always kind of done it that way. I remember in what is it, 5th grade, 6th grade? Can't remember which grade. I had Rock and Roll Over by Kiss, and Calling Dr. Love was pretty big.
Nice.
So we had a reading class talent show, and I had a reel-to-reel tape recorder and some other kind of tape recorder, and I bounced tracks. I did a little drum tracks. I had a couple drums and maybe a rhythm guitar track, and so I played that in class and played lead guitar as a melody to it.
That is amazing.
I didn't sing. I didn't win the reading class talent.
How did that not win? Jeez. That's awesome.
I don't know. They liked someone's comedy act better.
That's really cool, though. That shows that you had chutzpah since way back. But yeah. So taking it back for my listeners, you grew up in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Nice. And are you still there?
We kind of grew up in a really rural area near Sandusky, Milan, Ohio, where Edison was born.
Cool.
That area, Huron, Ohio.
And how far away is that from Dayton?
There, and then more, like a more suburban Cleveland sort of area.
Cool.
After that.
And are you still in Cleveland or Ohio? Or?
I'm in New York.
Oh, you're in New York. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm in Astoria as we speak in my car.
Nice.
I had to take the cat to the vet today. So.
Sweet.
Yeah, I've been in New York for a while, and
it's kind of easier to be.
It's
kind of easier to be in the arts entertainment thing out, on both coasts. I guess you could be in L.A. or New York. It's just easier,
Yeah. Not a Surface base here, who I tour with and play with.
Nice. How long have you been playing with them for? I saw that you've been playing with them for quite a while, right?
About 4 years.
Cool.
I'm on the last couple records. We're writing a new one right now.
Nice. They are like a really awesome band that doesn't get enough light, I feel like. But then it's weird. Like in '96, they had that one huge smash hit. Popular.
Yes. Yeah, and then they were on Elektra at the time, and they kind of really came into their own with later though with Let Go.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that got a lot of press and great reviews and stuff like that. So I mean, if they would have just quit after Popular, people wouldn't be knowing about them. But that's awesome that they that was kind of just the beginning of their creative burst.
Oh yeah, I mean they had the classic victims of major label control story that you hear, and they didn't have as bad as some others you read about, but
it was a weird summer. The Butthole Surfers had a humongous smash hit at the same 1996 summer. Beck had a huge hit. I mean, there was a lot of huge hits, but then it didn't seem like the label had any interest of fueling like a long-term success with these bands. It was just like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing now? What's the next thing? And now it's ironic because nobody even needs the labels anymore. So.
Right. Well, but it was one of those things where the label banned them, prohibited them from working for a couple of years after that.
Geez, really? Huh.
There's a moratorium on releasing anything, so.
Nice.
But yeah, that kind of doesn't really happen much anymore, so it's great.
Yeah, you're doing your own thing, like is Parade on what label is that on?
That is on 9 Mile Records. That's out of Austin.
Oh, cool, nice.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing they're not a whole lot of pressure like by the label to conform to what's on rock radio now. I don't even know what's on rock radio now. So.
No, we're trying to get on any radio.
Nice.
No, it's a kind of a free form label. Rick is the guy that runs the label. It's pretty much a one man operation, and he's got a few other artists, and it's nice and free and loose there.
Nice. Yeah, I actually got your contact through Joan LeMay, and it's really a small world because her husband plays drums in this band Kleenex Girl Wonder.
Graham Smith.
Yeah, Graham Smith, which he grew up about 5 minutes away from where I'm recording this now in the Chicago suburbs, and I knew about him when he was like a child prodigy. I go to my first guitar lesson, and the guy's like, yeah, you got to hear this kid from Downers Grove North High School. He's going to be huge. Then I slowly, we kept in contact. He's done my show a few times, and then all of a sudden I'm getting some booking help from this Joan lady, and it happens that her husband plays drums for Kleenex Girl Wonder, but that's a small world thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they've even played Primavera over in Spain.
Nice. Yeah, they're totally they're a great band. They have awesome lyrics, and but yeah, Parade On. I thought it was I think this is going to be an awesome little summer record for you. It's got some like sexy sounds to it. It's got some harder rocking stuff. It's even got a little punk here and there. I think this will be a great one to play live outside. It seems like. You got any fests lined up?
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that before. I think of things as I think it'll make a great driving record.
Sure.
Someone put it on in the car for road trips or it's just summary, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And
there's a song about death on there, but that's summary too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's musically summary.
Yeah. And you're opening up for your old friends in Guided by Voices. You got a couple sold out shows with them out on the East Coast, right? At the end of the month.
Yeah. In New York and in Washington D.C. opening up for my old band, and I've done that before actually. A couple of years ago, I did a couple of New Year's Eve shows opening up for Guided by Voices, and that was a lot of fun. Because we're all friends, and I've known those guys since before I was even a part of the band.
How did you? So was that just a Ohio thing of how you got to meet those guys, or how did you meet Pollard and company?
It was pretty much an Ohio thing. They got signed to Scat Records in the beginning, and Robert from Scat was from Cleveland, and I had a couple solo things on a compilation he was doing, and he put on this record when we were stuffing the CDs. This is back in 91, 92, and he goes, I said, oh, what's this record? It's pretty good. You put it on. He goes, oh, it's a band from Dayton. I think I'm going to sign them. I said, really? He said, yeah, they're called Guided by Voices. So, okay.
Nice.
And then, so we opened up some shows, both Cobra Verde, which is the post-Death of Samantha band that John Pekovic and I formed, along with Dave Swanson. Opened up some shows, and also I had a band called Gem at the same time that also opened up some shows whenever I got to Cleveland.
Awesome.
And got to know those guys, went on a tour and everything, and Bob eventually called us out to back to kind of be in Guided by Voices.
Yeah, that was awesome for the Mag Earwig record, right?
Yeah, it was about late '96.
That's really cool. So obviously you guys are still friends, and you'll be opening for them up on the East Coast, and they have a new album, Cool Planet, out this week too. This should definitely be an awesome show to catch, sold out.
Before that, the weekend before that, the 15th and 16th, my other old band is opening up. So,
really nice.
So that's Death of Samantha, and we were on Homestead Records in the '80s, Cleveland band, and we're opening up for Forgotten by Wolves in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
That's awesome. Homestead.
So the shows got booked more recently, a little bit, and my solo things got booked with them, but we're doing it. So
that's awesome. And I was just talking on my show about how the '80s were cool because you had all these scenes from different. It was kind of like a fragmented scenes in different cities. Like you said, Homestead. We had Touch and Go in Chicago. We had SST on the West Coast. You had Sub Pop up on the Northwest. Where was Homestead based out of?
Based out of New York City, and Gerard Causeway discovered this. He was a tastemaker even then.
Nice, and obviously went on to do Matador. So.
Yeah. So, influential guy, really.
That's awesome. Was like Homestead Records? They were also home to Sonic Youth for a while, correct?
Yeah, a lot of people kind of came through the ranks Homestead there, even if it was just for one record or two. The Fall was on Homestead for a tiny bit. Sonic Youth had Edmund Rising on Homestead. Dinosaur, the first Dinosaur, before they were called Dinosaur Jr., was on Homestead. A lot of Big Dick Black.
Big Black, you said?
Yeah, Squirrel Big, a little tiny bit. Homestead had something to do with Clean. Had a couple of New Zealand bands, Ian Verlaine and Clean, there for something.
Awesome.
Okay, so Homestead, yeah, you did have some Chicago talent, like you said, Naked Ray Gun and stuff like that. But you said, you said you started your own label for Death of Samantha, huh?
Yeah, there's a label called St. Valentine that was kind of a outlet for Death of Samantha to put out their own stuff, and a couple other local bands put out things through that label as well. But there were in those days, there really wasn't a central kind of label that people in Cleveland put stuff out on.
It must have been a really hard time getting your own label off the ground in the 80s. I mean, you have to know a record presser. You have to, know somebody that can do all that. Because, I mean, before the internet, it was a physical hard copy that you needed to get in the hands of the people or get on the radio stations. And
cassettes were big too.
Yeah.
We would send cassettes out. I mean, if we didn't press up a 7-inch or 12-inch, we'd send out a cassette.
I got you. So that's more doable. Obviously, press up a bunch of cassettes, put them in your car, and travel the land, and give them out to people. So that was a cool thing. Running with Homestead for a while, and then Cobra Verde. Where were you guys on with that? What label?
We were on Scat Records.
Okay, so you were on Scat for that. Okay.
At the time, that's the time I was in the band. And then they went on to be on Montel Records and TP Records later.
Cool.
And they're still going. I'm not exactly sure what they're on. And John Pekovic of that band also has a band called Sweet Apple.
Yeah, that album's awesome. Yeah, we've been a big fan of that album too. So. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, Dave Hill was talking about that, so I listened to that. It's got Robert Pollard on there, Jay Mascis. Interesting stuff. Yeah. So, and everybody still seems like friends in all these bands that you guys all play in, right?
Yeah, I'm going to see John next week at Death of Samantha has 3 shows.
Nice. Oh, awesome. Cool.
In Ohio.
So you got all these different bands and stuff like that. It all seems like, I read the Guided by Voices book by Jim Greer where he kind of maps out all the different bands that everybody's in, and it's almost like 100 different musicians all playing in different incarnations of different bands.
And yeah, it's just really cool. It's a cool. You guys kind of have your own little scene going there, and it's nice to go see old friends and play with your first band that you started with and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean there was a whole Dayton scene as well that was completely removed from Cleveland or Columbus. Cleveland's 3.5 hours away from Dayton.
Gotcha. So they kind of had their own thing going on.
Yeah, they had their own thing happening. In Columbus, that's even a different story. There was a lot of bands from Columbus. Great Plains, I think, was on Homestead. They were the Front Houses band.
Nice.
They were on Homestead. They were from Columbus, Ohio, and he was later from Thomas Jefferson Slave Apartments.
Oh, I gotcha. Cool.
So yeah, there was a whole, every town had its little scene.
Nice, yeah, and the Dayton scene, I actually, on Record Store Day about 3 weeks ago, I went downtown to Chicago to see and meet Kim and Kelly Deal, which was awesome for me. And yeah, it was awesome. They got a little jab in at Satan from Hollywood, if you know what I'm talking about, the singer of the Pixies maybe. And yeah, they would not sign any Pixies records, just Breeders stuff, and but they were totally nice, totally Midwestern, and totally awesome too. They're beautiful girls. I had no idea really, but
They grew up in Dayton.
yeah, they're right. They're friends with Guided by Voices and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
Kim played with them a little bit, right?
Bob and Kim hung out a little bit in the mid 90s, and they sung. They had a duet. They did "Love Hurts" for a movie
Nice.
way back then. I didn't really hang out around her very much. When I was in my dad's dead, though, we did a tour opening up for Pixies in 1990.
Oh wow, awesome.
Did a U.S. tour, the Bossa Nova tour for them.
That's
So that was fun. We played only. We didn't do the whole United States. We did about 8 shows, 9 shows.
cool. What kind
It was great.
what kind of people were they to you? Were they nice? Were they nice headliners for you? Were they friendly to you?
Yeah, it was. It was good. Charles was the nicest to us, and he asked us to be on the bill. So
Nice.
it was, we got treated okay. And I think every night I went out to the crowd and watched, 90 minutes of the Pixies playing. So
That's awesome. That's really
it
cool.
was great. A lot of fun.
All right, is it cool if we play a song?
Yeah, sure. What are you gonna play?
I was gonna play the title track from the new album, Parade On.
Oh, great choice. Thank you very much.
All right, here's Doug Gillard with the title track from Parade On, out now.
She likes me.
All right, we are back with Doug Gillard. Just keep you for a little bit longer if that's cool, if you got the time.
Yeah.
All right, and yes, you got some dates on the West Coast. Is that also with Guided by Voices, or is that just a solo leg for you?
That's just my solo
Nice.
band. And it's this particular lineup is my friend Eric Paparazzi on bass. Eric used to be in the band Cat Power, and he also plays in Bambikino with me.
Oh, cool.
And on drums is going to be Michael Lerner from Telekinesis.
Huh, okay. Cool, so it's
that'll be tons of fun.
it's going to be a power trio?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there's if I'm playing on the East Coast, that's a different lineup.
Sure.
If I'm on a Midwestern or Texas, my drummer George Duran is usually with me. So.
Cool. And how about this? When you play live as Doug Gillard did the solo group, are you going to be reaching back in the catalog from your other groups, or is it just pretty much stuff from the new album and previous solo stuff?
Well, I have a lot of things in my own catalog now that I need to get into the set, but in the past, I've been known to sometimes do Pop Zeus or I Am a Tree.
Nice. Cool.
Things, I kind of only do things that I help write, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be not a great look to do other stuff from...
Something that I can lay claim to anyway.
Yeah, something that you had a part in.
It's kind of, so.
Nice. And you guys are writing a new album with Not a Surf?
Yeah, we're going to be working on that this year and doing a little more touring,
Awesome.
summer festivals and
Cool.
other things.
All right, and so just touring off the album this summer and writing a new one with Not a Surf. What else? Anything else down the line for you?
Down the line, I'll probably be touring on this record maybe for a couple of years, just because there's pockets of time I need to find to kind of get the tours in,
Sure.
between all the different projects that are happening.
Do you like hitting the road, or is it a thing of you just want to say hi to the fans in different areas and stuff like that, but the traveling?
I always like hitting the road.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, you get to see all the differences between the towns and the different scenes and stuff like that. It's got to be interesting. Even doing it for 20 years, it probably doesn't get old, right?
Yeah, it depends on the conditions, really.
Gotcha.
If it's just a van tour, it can get a little tiring.
Sure.
If you can't get enough sleep or something like that, but
You get cranky.
that's the way it is,
Sure. Yeah, well, that about does it. Just want to congratulate you on the new album. Been playing it here at the house quite a bit. Love pumping that one. As we said, I think it's going to be a great summer album, driving album. Outside, listen in the backyard type of record. So.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad. Someone else recently said they had it at a barbecue,
Nice.
and like the other weekend, they kept playing it outside. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's definitely a great album. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll see you sometime in Chicagoland on one of the tours and one of your incarnations.
He definitely will.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Andy. I really appreciate that. Want to have me on.
Awesome, sounds good. So, on behalf of Doug Gillard, this is Andy Dare signing off for the Andy Darer Show.
Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Darer. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Darer Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Darer. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Darer Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Band Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Darer Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.